So today we will talk about how can we use API within Power BIs to fetch the data from the other website. So first of all, let us try to understand what exactly is API. The simplest explanation that I can give you for what API is that imagine this is application A, this is application B. In order to fetch the data from application B to application A, we will need something. That something is API. Using the APIs, we will fetch the data from application B to application A, and then application A can use it for whatever purpose it wants to use it. Now this data that we are fetching through this API, that is application programming interface, can be JSON format, can be XML format, whatever it is, right? But why do we need API? See, there are two ways to fetch the data from the application B. One option is that you can manually download the data from application B and upload it into application A. However, this is like very time consuming, and why would you want to do that? If you want the live data, if you want, let's just say you're doing the weather forecasting, if you want to show the weather updates every hour or every 10 minutes, is it a feasible option for you that every 10 minutes you go to the website B, download the data and manually upload it on the application A and use it? That is not a feasible option. You need live data, so you need API calls. So you will be making use of these API calls to fetch data every 10 minutes, every 1 hour, depending upon your requirement. Now let us see practically how do we fetch the data using the APIs from the other website. So you can visit this particular website, home.openweathermap.org, and on this particular website you can log in and generate the keys, that is API keys. So I have generated this particular API key with the name Power BI. Okay, you can also put the API key name whatever you want and generate the API. After you create the API key, you will need the API endpoint. This is the endpoint that we have, and at the end of this endpoint we have the API key that I have generated using this website. Okay, as you can see, this is the API key, and I will use this particular endpoint for fetching the data from this Open Weather Map website. Okay, so how do we exactly do this in Power BI? Click on Get Data, click on Web, then put the URL. As I said, then you need to put the endpoint URL. So I'm putting this endpoint URL and then click on OK. For our case, we have a basic authentication. So when I logged into that particular website, I have used the username and password for logging into that particular website and generating the API keys. So I will use basic authentication and will use the username and password which I had used to log into that particular website. So as you can see, now I have put the same username and password which I had used on that particular website of weather map, and then I will click on connect. Okay, now depending upon your authentication, you can use the Windows or web API or the organizational account. If you have, you can use that. I'll click on connect. So as we can see, we are able to successfully fetch the data from the weather map website, and we have got the data for the 4 cities: Mumbai, New Delhi, Bangalore and Chennai. Now after you fetch the data, depending upon your requirement, you will keep only the columns that you need. Like maybe you need just the city name and or the wind speed, visibility, humidity. Okay, so maybe these 4-5 columns you need, you can keep those columns. You can rename the columns and then based on these data you can create a report. So I hope you understand how we fetch the data using API within Power BI. Make sure that you practice this. Thank you so much for watching.